Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is our first Cypher Live where we're going to do just a general overview of the solution. And today we're going to be joined by Jamal Hasan, who's going to run through the sort of product at a really high level. So the intent of this webinar today is to give you a sense of what Cypher can do, kind of end to end. But we're not really going to have time to go deep like we do in some of our other Cypher Lives. So if there's any topics that jump out to you as something you're interested in, you can let us know and we will, I can send you some follow-up videos to go a little deeper or set up a meeting with Jamal or somebody else on our team to get your own personal demo. But this will be a really great opportunity today to understand how we can help you, how we can support you. If you have any questions at all, please use the Q&A. I will be watching that chat while Jamal talks and either answer your questions in the text or live. So with that, I'm going to pass the reins over to Jamal to do the demonstration.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caitlin. Hello, everyone. My name is Jamal. I am one of the account executives here at CYPHER Learning. I'm real excited to be diving into the platform today. Today, I'm going to show you how we can go from zero to a fully structured course in just a handful of minutes using AI. We're going to talk about how we can drive engagement beyond just the static content. And then we're going to wrap up today by talking about how we can create some more personalized learning environments using our CYPHER Agent for Learners tool. And with that, why don't we jump right in? Okay. So what you're looking at right here is just the home screen for the platform. This is where a user will land once they log in. In the bottom right corner of the screen, you will see the CYPHER Agent icon. When you click on that, it will open up CYPHER Agent, which is just our AI tool. This tool can be accessed from anywhere on the platform, and depending on who you are and where you are on the platform, you will see different options inside of this screen. I'm on just the main home screen, and so I'm getting the option to open up CYPHER Agent for Learners. I'm getting the option to build a full course or to build a skill set. But if I were inside of a course, it would give me the options for things like building a module or building an assessment for that course. And so CYPHER Agent isn't just for helping you build full courses, it is also built to help you with the updates that you may need over time. But today we are going to build a full course. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit add a course here. And I personally talk to a lot of manufacturing businesses that need a lot of compliance driven things, a lot of safety courses. And so I thought for today, what we would do is we would do a workplace safety and OSHA awareness course. After putting the name in, it's going to ask us for the style of course that we'd like. There's a few options in here. Today we're going to do self-paced, which is your more traditional sit in front of a computer, work through the course at your own pace. But if we wanted something that was instructor-led or a blend of the two, we could choose those as well. Or we could do a micro course, which is a slightly different format course that is just a small amount of text with typically a voiceover over the top. And so now I'm going to hit save. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up a small survey for us where we can start to tell the system all of our thoughts about what we want the course to look like, what we want the course to feel like, what we would like it to contain. And so the topic's already in here. It's workplace safety and OSHA awareness. We can then choose the persona. There's quite a few in here. I'm just going to go with the default thoughtful educator. We can choose a level. I'm going to go with beginner. The audience level as well, children, teenagers, adults, or seniors, I'll go with adults. And then we can choose the writing style, professional, formal, casual, academic, humorous. I'm going to go with professional. And then we're going to be shown an additional instructions box. This is really your chance to tell the system all of your thoughts about what you would like the course to contain, what you want it to look like, what you want it to feel like. This is your chance to kind of put it all out there for the AI agent to use in the build. I am just going to put in a single sentence that's just going to tell it what I would like it to contain. We're building an OSHA awareness course. I want hazard recognition in there. I want PPE usage, machine safety, incident reporting, and emergency response. And that is it. That's the only prompt we're going to put in. From there, we can choose the language. There's over 50 languages we can choose from. We'll go with English today. and then we can choose the generation mode. There's two ways to go here. We're going to do all at once, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to take our content and it's going to take all of our information and just build the entire course for us from beginning to end. But if we wanted to go step by step with the AI agent, we do have that option as well. This is more kind of hand in hand with the AI agent, where it is going to build the first step, show it to you, ask if you would like to make any changes, and then move forward to step two, and then step three, and so on and so forth. Moving on, we can then tell it to create tile images and generate course images. These are the images that are right here that introduce the course and the images that would be in the modules that introduce the modules. So I'm going to click yes here, and there's quite a few image styles to choose from. I'm going to go with photographic. And then after that, if we were doing microlearning, we could turn the microlearning format on, which would then give us the option to generate a voiceover. There are quite a few voices in here for us to choose from, and you can sample all of them before deciding on the one that you would like. We are not going to do a microlearning format though, so I'm going to turn this off for now. And then the next section would be custom data. With custom data, if I had any sort of information, if I had a PDF, if I had a video, if I had a slideshow, I could drop that in at this point and give CYPHER Agent access to that content to use in the build process. We could then tell CYPHER Agent to restrict the build to only the provided content that I have given it, or if we unselect this box, it will use our content to build the course and then fill in any knowledge gaps it might have with content that it is sourcing from the internet. The next section would be skills. This is where we would attach specific skills that the course should be teaching the users. This is for admins and learners to be able to see their progress in the specific skill sets that a course covers. I'm going to have CYPHER Agent just build the skill set for me. I'm going to have it do 5 skills. But if I wanted to pull in a skill set I had previously built, I could do that. Or I could choose from a library of skill sets that are already pre-built inside the system. There's a couple thousand job titles in here that you can look through and pull in a set of skills and edit them from that point forward. But I'm going to go with new. We're just going to do a small set of skills. We'll do 5. And then it's going to ask us a series of questions about the size of the course. So how many modules would we like? This is akin to the chapters in a book. How many chapters would we like inside of our book? I'm just going to pull this way down. We'll do 3 today just for our purposes. And then the next question is cross-check content with another AI. This is a very unique feature. It's a very cool feature. What this does is we utilize multiple AI engines in order to build our courses. And so when you turn this feature on, what ends up happening is the AI engines will build the course for us, and then it will take it a second time and refeed that course through it again, just checking for any inaccuracies or any hallucinations that may have fallen through the cracks. It's essentially a small QA tool that's built right into the platform for us. For time's sake today, I'm going to turn this off because it will shorten it by like 20, 30 seconds. Include images. We can source images from a few places. We can tell the tool to source imagery from the internet. We can have it generate images with AI. Or if I were including resources that had imagery in there, it would give me a third option to pull imagery from the resources that I have provided for it. For today, we're going to go with sourcing imagery from the internet. Include videos, very similar to sourcing from the internet. This is going to pull videos specifically from YouTube that it feels are relevant for the course being taught. And then if we wanted, we could turn on a glossary or a study guide. Under modules, it's going to ask us how big do we want those individual modules. So how many pages do we want inside of our chapters? I'm just going to go with 3 pages per module that we're building. And then I am going to turn on an assessment. I'm going to do a quiz assessment. I'm gonna pull these way down, and we're just gonna do 1 multiple choice, 1 fill in the blank, and 1 true false question. But if we wanted to, we could activate a free form assessment or an individual project or even a group project assessment for the AI tool to build into our course for us. And then the last question is going to be gamification. If I would like to gamify the course, we could turn gamification on at this point. I'm going to leave this off, but I have pre-built a game that we are going to look at once the course is completed. From there, I'm going to hit create, and it's going to take us to just this simple tracking screen where it's going to show us where it is in the build process. And at the bottom, we can see what the full progress is for the course itself. Now, this course is going to take a few minutes to build. So I think what we will do at this point is we will pivot and we're going to talk a little bit about how we can start to foster a community and how we can start to foster communication beyond just the static content of the course itself. And so for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate back to the main home screen. And from here, where I will go is goals. Or sorry, not goals, groups. We're going to go into groups. And I'm going to show that I have multiple groups set up in the system. What groups allow us to do is segment our user base and give them certain tools or certain features that apply specifically for that segmented group. I have three built in here. I have a floor text group, I have a management group, I have a sales rep group. We could have as many of these as we really needed. Let's say I'm a floor tech and I've been given access to the floor tech group. Within this group, I have a series of tools and features that I can utilize to help me out with my specific job. In here, we can activate things like news feeds, where we can push news down to just that specific group. We can activate calendars so that we can show off any live events or webinars or training sessions that might be coming up. We can even build resource centers into these groups so that we can have all of the resources for these specific groups in one place. So as a floor tech, if I need to access some paperwork for a piece of machinery, I know that that information is found in the resource center in the floor tech group inside of CYPHER Learning. But then beyond that, we really want to start to foster an environment with the community and have each of our peers helping with learning. And that's really where forum support, chat support, and one-on-one messaging come in. With forum support, you can have the ability for users to come in here and ask any questions they would like to be able to survey their peers and start getting answers to questions that may not be in the content that is provided. I can go through forums that are already built, see if my questions have been answered. I can start a new forum and start a conversation with my peers or even the admins or the trainers inside of the system itself. And then if we wanted to do one-on-one chatting, we could do that through the chatbot or even through one-on-one messaging. And then through really cool tools like a universal translator, what we're able to do is actually translate those individual messages that are going from person to person to the primary language of the person who is receiving the message. So for those global teams where you've got multiple people who speak different languages, you're able to communicate effectively using the universal translator built right into CYPHER Learning. Now, one thing I will mention is that each of these tools we're talking about, the forum support, the chat support, the resource centers, all of this can be built directly into a course itself. And so you do not have to build it in the groups. If we wanted to build communication tools at the course level, that is totally possible as well. We could, so in this example where we're building this workplace safety course, we could build a forum in here. We could build a resource center in here that is specific just for this course. And so we're trying to give you the opportunity to build these community tools at whatever level you need that makes the most sense for your department. All right, let's pivot back to this course build. So I just navigated back to the course is all I did, and I am now inside of the course that is being built. It is not totally done yet, but it is almost there and it is rendering in live time. So we are able to start digging through it. But as you can see, the tool with just a single prompt and just a few questions answered in that survey was able to build a fully structured course. There are three modules inside of this course, from an introduction to preventing injuries. It built an incident report and emergency response essentials module. If I click into these modules, what you'll see is that each of these modules has individual pages of content that were built in here as well. And then at the end of each of these modules, you'll see that there is a quiz that was built. And so we have a full-blown course now from 0 to 100. And so what we'll do is we'll actually dive into this course and we'll start taking a look at individual components of it. I'm just going to click on the first module. We're just going to take a look at the OSHA 101, why it exists, who does what, and your rights. And so what you'll see is that the course actually built out all of the content for us and organized it in a logical way. It sourced imagery from the internet that it layered in. If I scroll down, I'd be willing to bet that it also layered in a video that it sourced from the internet as well. Now, from here, though, this is just a starting point. You could take this as it sits right here and launch this course if you would like. But at this point, you're in full control of this course. We can start to edit anything in the course from the imagery to the videos to the copy, the structure, the assessments. It is just full blown yours to do what you would like with it. And it can be as simple as, hey, I just want to swap out this image. And if that's the case, then what we can do is we can just hit this replace button right here, which will take us to a little media picker where we can just search for keywords across the internet and find imagery that might suit our needs better. Or we can actually just toggle over to AI and we can start to describe the image that we would like AI to create for us for this part of the content. Or if I had provided resources, again, there would be a third option here that would allow us to pull imagery from our resources into the course itself. And if I scroll down, it's the same thing with this video. I can hit replace here and swap it out with just a few clicks. But if we wanted to go beyond this, what we could do at this point is go into our course editor. From the content builder itself, we have full control over everything. I can start to move content around, I can start to move media around, but we can also start to add in we can also start to add in interactive elements into the course itself. We can change the layout. We can start to add grid systems in, columns in. We could add accordions, tabs, cards, call out text, quotes, and flip boxes. And from here, it's really up to you to kind of decide how interactive we would like to build the course itself. All right, I'm going to back out of this module and we're actually going to work our way through this course and work our way down to the first quiz. And so as a user, I would go through 3 content pages and then I would be hit with a quiz that we asked it to build. Inside of this quiz, it built some quick instructions for us. And so it's going to tell us what the quiz covers. It's going to tell us what types of questions they'll see and what to prepare. And then if I click take quiz at the bottom, we'll see that three we're met with 3 questions that we asked it to build. We asked it to build a multiple choice question. We asked it to build a fill in the blank. And we asked it to build a true false question. This could have really been as complicated as we needed to be, though. We could have built this with as many questions as needed. We could have done a free form assessment or a group project. And so whatever your needs are for assessment, the AI tool does have the capabilities to build all of that into the system. Okay, so I want to kind of pause right here and I want to talk a little bit about how we can kind of go beyond assessments and I want to talk a little bit about gamification. So we can layer games into the course itself. We could have done it in the group that we looked at earlier. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hop back out. I'm going to hop into a game that I actually created earlier. Earlier, I created a similar course, a workplace safety course, and I built a game with some information in there so we can see it fully filled out. If I click into this game, what you'll see is that we have the ability to turn things on like leaderboards and point systems and level systems. We can even automate things like badges earned and certifications. And if I sign in as a learner now, we can take a look at it from the learner's point of view. And from the learner's point of view, I can see where I rank against my peers. I can see the levels I've earned, the badges I've earned, and how I earn points by going through this specific game. And so in a manufacturing environment, you might reward items for highest safety compliance. In a call center, you might reward reps who've completed quality training the fastest. Really, we're just trying to create some healthy competition, some visibility, and some accountability into the platform itself. And then from here, it becomes a conversation about scalability. And that usually becomes a conversation about automations. And so once the course is built, once everything's done, we can start to build automations into the course itself. And we can automate enrollments based on a number of factors. But in our example, manufacturing employee comes in, we could automate the enrollment into the manufacturing learning path. We could automate what happens when they finish the course, the completions earned, and what happens post-course as well. If this was a compliance course, I could even activate compliance automations. And that is actually something I already did in this workplace safety course. I can go into compliance in here. And what you'll see is that I have some very basic compliance automations in here where I've told the system, hey, this course lasts a full year. So this user is only compliant for 1 year. And then what I've done is I've set up some very simple countdowns where, hey, 30 days before this user's uncompliant, I want you to re-enroll them in the course and I want you to send them a quick notification that just says, hey, you've got 30 days to retake this course or you're going to become uncompliant. And then we could build as many of these layers of automation as we need in order to make sure that our users are staying on top of the content that they need to. Really, at the end of the day, we're just trying to build scalability without creating a lot of extra legwork along the way. Perfect. Okay, so from here, what I would like to do is pivot our conversation a little bit and talk about moving beyond just static content and beyond the social learning tools. And I want to talk about how we can start to create a more personalized one-on-one learning environment with each of your learners. And we do that through CYPHER Agent for Learners. This is our newest tool, and this is a very cool tool. Where this is, if I open up CYPHER Agent down here in the bottom corner again, what you'll see is there's also an option to learn. And if I open this up, it's going to open up our CYPHER Agent for Learners tool. This is a similar tool to like a ChatGPT where it is a conversational tool that I can talk to. What I think we should do is kind of come up with an example. I think we'll pivot away from the workplace safety OSHA environment and let's pretend that I am a sales rep. I'm a brand new sales rep and I'm having trouble with objection handling. As a sales rep, what I could do is I could open up CYPHER Agent for Learners and I could tell it what I am having difficulties with. I'm going to keep it really simple and I'm just going to put in objection handling. And what's going to happen now is the system is going to go through a quick setup. It's just a few questions for it to start to learn what my knowledge is around objection handling, where I currently am, and what my goals are with this current session. And so first it's going to ask me, could I share my current knowledge or experience with the current topic? So objection handling. I'm just going to say I am a new sales rep. It is then going to ask me if, or it's going to ask me what my main goals are around objection handling. I'm going to say, I want to have more conversations. And then it's going to ask me if there are any specific objections that I am looking to work on. Let's say we already have this covered. A real simple objection that every sales rep has run into hundreds of times. So what's going to happen now is CYPHER Agent is going to take my answers and it's going to start to build a concept map for us. A concept map is essentially the content that it is building around the topic that we are trying to cover. And so in this case, it is understanding objection handling. And what you'll see is it's actually built out individual topics specific to me that I can now start to dig deeper into in order to understand objection handling. At this point, what I could do is I could just start to work through the sections that it has built for me, or I could use this in more of a conversational tool where I could actually just start to talk to it. And in similar to a ChatGPT, it would come back to me with answers and we could just have a back and forth. Now, a question I typically get at this point is what are the main differences between this and a large language model that's out there already, a ChatGPT, a Claude, a Gemini? The big difference here is in the control we have over the system. First and foremost, we're able to build a knowledge base inside of the system. So we can take all of your content, we can take all of your resources, we can upload them into the system, and we can give CYPHER Agent for Learners access to that content. So unlike a ChatGPT where you have no idea where those answers are coming from, you don't know what processes it is teaching the users, this is pulling from your own content, showing your own processes to each of your users. But then beyond that, we can start to put guardrails up and we can start to tell the system what topics a person can search for and what topics maybe we don't want them to touch, or even segmentation by group, where we can start to tell the AI tool, hey, certain groups will have access to certain content. Sales reps can have sales content, marketing reps can have marketing content, so on and so forth. And so we're trying to create a one-on-one, more personalized learning environment where the user is having more control over their learning needs. Now, one thing I want to talk about is kind of the next evolution of CYPHER Agent for Learners. Coming real soon, CYPHER Agent for Learners is going to have an assess tool and a practice tool. And so in our example as a sales rep where I'm struggling with objection handling, I'll be able to open up the assess tool and I'll be able to have the system actually assess where I am in my progress with objection handling. And then I'd be able to pivot that conversation into live practice sessions with the AI tool. So I can start to talk about, hey, I want to practice a real session around getting around the objection of we already have that covered. And so now we're moving beyond just passive content consumption and moving into actual skill development inside of CYPHER learning. And that, to be honest with you, is all I really have set up for our demo today. I think in general, the takeaway is that whether you're building a compliance course, whether you are building an onboarding course, a performance course, at the end of the day, if you have an idea, we can turn that into a fully fledged course in just a few minutes. We can then take that a step further and start to build community tools to foster engagement. And then we can take that even a step further and start to build an environment where we've got one-on-one training sessions happening with each of our learners. And so we're doing that all under a single platform, all with the goal of being able to scale without adding extra complexity. And so I hope this was valuable. I hope you got some ideas about ways that we can help you out with your own L&D departments. I'd love to chat with anyone who's got any questions. And with that, I will hand it back over to Caitlin.
Thanks so much. Thank you for that great overview, Jamal. And for anybody here who wants to get their own personal demo, please reach out to Jamal or me directly, or use our contact us form on CYPHER Learning. We will send this recording out as a follow-up so you can direct any of your colleagues to take a look if there was something here that you were interested in. And if any of the things that Jamal covered seemed interesting, but you're maybe not ready to talk to us, you want to explore it a little bit more, please do take a look at our website. If you go to resources, you will find our CYPHER Live page where we have deep dives into each one of these topics that Jamal went over, the gamification, the social, how to create a course using CYPHER Agent, how to use CYPHER Agent for Learners, including those new practice and assess features, which are really, really powerful and we're really excited about. There's lots of information we can get there. And if you just have a question, you want to know more, please let us know and we will send you some follow-up information directly. Thank you again for spending your morning or afternoon with us, and I hope you have the great rest of your day.